The House of Commons has risen for the summer, and this means that Justin Trudeau's favorite time of year is upon us, barbecue season. In the next few weeks, you're going to see him crisscross the country at picnics and, kayaking or, photobombing weddings, all of those sort of things that he loves to do, in the hopes that you're going to forget that he had a really dismal 4 years in terms of doing anything that actually benefited our country. Now, this year, of course, Justin Trudeau had a super bad year with the SNC-Lavalin scandal sort of crowning and framing out all of the failures that he's had over the last 4 years. But he's really hoping that you're going to forget about this stuff. And I want to highlight 3 instances that really show that Justin Trudeau's priority is not the country. It's not putting our community before him. It's ensuring that himself and his Liberal friends are taken care of. And these things have not made a lot of news, but they're important to share and they're important to highlight because they underscore that fact that he needs to be held to account for. Now, first of all, I want to talk about Dominic LeBlanc. Dominic LeBlanc is one of Trudeau's right-hand lieutenants, one of his best friends, one of his most senior members in cabinet. And you'll remember that Dominic LeBlanc has made a lot of news over the years. Last year, he made news with regard to an ethics investigation around a decision that he made to award a clam fishing contract to a company that I don't even think had a boat, that had a relationship with his wife's cousin. And if you want to listen more about that particular scam, the clam scam, there is a video about it on my feed. But Dominic LeBlanc is back in the news, and not for good reasons. There's this CBC story here that was published, and the headline, I'll read it for you. Dominic LeBlanc's family, friends, and neighbors win 5 out of 6 recent judicial appointments. So after Justin Trudeau made news this year for the better part of the year about the SNC-Lavalin scandal and questions about his role in allegedly pressuring Jody Wilson-Raybould, his former justice minister, to interfere in the independence of the judiciary in a major case related to alleged corruption with SNC-Lavalin, after he, had a lot of questions leveled at him about his potential or alleged interference in the independence of the judiciary of Canada, again, we've got this story where Dominic LeBlanc, one of his right hands, senior member of cabinet, is in a CBC article being highlighted for the fact that his very closest friends have been, mysteriously appointed to cabinet. I want to read you the line out of the story. 5 of the last 6 federal appointments announced in New Brunswick include LeBlanc's neighbor, a LeBlanc family relation, and 3 lawyers who helped retire or pay off debts from his unsuccessful 2008 leadership bid. I mean, come on, guys. When you pair the SNC-Lavalin scandal with this, it's like, where are his priorities? We know where his priorities are at. Trudeau's priorities and his cabinet and his friends' priorities are not with putting the community first or, putting our democratic institutions first. It's all about them and their Liberal Party connections. Now, issue number 2 dealt with our relationship with China. Now, many of you, as am I, are very concerned about the fact that the Chinese government has imposed what amount to very restrictive trade sanctions on Canada. Many farmers, meat producers in Canada are concerned with this. These sanctions have been catastrophic. This is a terrible situation that Justin Trudeau needs to take leadership on. And more importantly, there are Canadians that are being detained by the Chinese government that, by all accounts, are in great danger. And Trudeau's really done nothing on this. He doesn't even have an ambassador to Canada after John McCallum failed so miserably. And worse, and this is where the Conservative Party has been calling. We've been calling for an ambassador, and we've been calling for Trudeau to cancel the hundreds of millions of dollars of Canadian tax dollars that Trudeau is sending to China for the Asian Infrastructure Bank. This is just crazy. So while Trudeau's doing nothing to resolve this really important issue, we get this tweet this week, and I don't think that this was reported, but one of Trudeau's ministers, she's the Minister for Small Business, was actually in Beijing, which is remarkable. But instead of tweeting about what she's doing to perhaps address some of these issues, like the trade restrictions or how she's working to keep Canadians safe, we get this tweet right here, where she talks about, and this is her big announcement for her trip to China, that she's eating an ice cream cone. And I'm not making this up. I mean, go on her Twitter page. It's right there. She even put it on her Facebook page. Her big announcement in the middle of all of this is ice cream cones. literally a tone-deaf, let them eat cake response to this. Now, journalist Terry Glavin made a great point. He tweeted over her tweet, look, and I'm paraphrasing, but any country that Trudeau might go to, because he should be, to ask for support in resolving this diplomatic row, would look at a tweet like this and go, where are your priorities? And this one didn't get a lot of coverage, but it's highly problematic. The last thing I want to point out to you is an issue that came up. It's an exchange that I had in the House of Commons with Trudeau right before Parliament rose for the summer. And it relates to this story. And I'm going to read this headline for you. Alleged gang kingpin may have used Liberal MP's law firm to launder money through a BC condo deal. Now, so Trudeau's faced questions in the House of Commons about this story related to Liberal MP Joe Pescadillo. And I just want you to watch this exchange that I had with him. Watch
Calgary Nose Hill.
The law firm that the member for Stevenson Richmond East owned has been implicated in a scheme that allegedly laundered money in the Vancouver area for a foreign drug lord. Today, this member is at the Prime Minister's right hand. He's front and center. Compare that to another Vancouver area MP who got kicked out of his caucus simply for standing up to him and doing what was right. This begs the question, if he's such a feminist, why the obvious, on display, double standard?
Order. Order. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we are committed to a robust regime to combat money laundering and terrorist financing. With Budget 2019, we created the Action, Coordination and Enforcement Team and the Money Laundering Centre of Expertise. These will help better identify and meet evolving threats. We've provided over $160 million to the RCMP, FinTrap, and CRA. We support policing, real estate audit teams. The Conservatives actually cut over $500 million from the RCMP's budget, where we will ensure that law enforcement teams have the resources and tools they need.
So, just so you know what happened, I was sitting in the House of Commons and I noticed that this guy, Joe Pescadillo, who had this story published that he was in, which is a significant story, and there's some questions to be asked around it, he's sitting right at his right hand, right beside Trudeau, in the shot, proud as punch, in the House of Commons. And again, it's a question of priorities, because while this guy is sitting here, featured front and center, Trudeau's got him right there. Where's Jody Wilson-Raybould? This is a woman who, was his justice minister, and she was elected as a Liberal. She put the priority, and her priority, around the independence of Canadian democratic institutions, specifically the independence of our judiciary. And based on her testimony, she stood up to Justin Trudeau to say, look, when she was allegedly pressured to interfere on behalf of SNC-Lavalin with regard to that whole scandal, which I won't recap, she stood up to Trudeau and said, no. And what happened to her? That's somebody who had their priorities right. Was she sitting beside Justin Trudeau in the House yesterday? Nope. He kicked her out of cabinet, kicked her out of his caucus, and she sits now way in the back of the House of Commons. Yet, Joe Pescadillo, who had that story, in his name in that story, is sitting right beside him at his right hand. And you'll notice that Trudeau had to leaf through his talking point binder and was reading these tightly scripted lines. Dominic LeBlanc in judicial appointments, Mary Ng eating ice cream, and Justin Trudeau putting this MP at his right hand in his shot. To me, that underscores story after story where Justin Trudeau's priorities are, and they aren't this country. They're about himself and Liberal Party friends. Hold him to account for this over the summer, and don't forget what his true agenda is. He's just not as advertised. Working hard for you in Calgary, ahead of the Calgary Stampede. Have a great day.